So now she has to chew more quietly.
Right, we're on.
Hey, welcome to Thoughts on Talks with Reverend Mike McMorrow.
Hi, that's me.
And our guest this week, Reverend Nancy Woods, who gave the Sunday yesterday. Thursday. Yay!
And
So,
Reverend Nancy is also our assistant minister.
Right.
Long-time metaphysician, student of Raymond Charles Barker back in our New York days.
Wow.
And, yeah, and one hot mama, as Stephanie said.
See, that's the bonus of doing Zoom calls from people's homes, is that you can get little side comments from, for example, the Reverend's wife.
Yeah.
Or a Reverend's wife. We've got two Reverends on the call with us today.
Yes.
So Reverend Nancy was the one who gave the Mother's Day talk. So for anybody who hasn't already seen it, they can go to the Centers for Spiritual Living Granada Hills YouTube channel and select the May 10th talk and watch and see what we're talking about. And the theme was listen to your heart. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And you were saying that you were so excited because you had been wanting to give a talk on this theme and didn't realize it coincided with Mother's Day and everything kind of came together perfectly.
Yeah, it was a wonderful demonstration for me.
You seem very excited too, which is always nice to see somebody who's like all fired up. Then we really believe what you're saying. And Reverend Kathy Lyons gave the opening practitioner talk, Creative Thought, and it was her birthday too. So happy belated birthday to Reverend Kathy Lyons.
Yes.
And I do have a screenshot of her that I will share because she is the head of the animal kinship ministry for the center. And I just thought it was so beautiful that she's wearing an animal print. Like it was kind of a shiny jacket. It looks like it's snake skin or alligator skin inspired. I'm sure it isn't the real thing. And then she's standing in front of that beautiful Noah's Ark image by Lorraine Streeby. And it was just, you know, she was so sharing who she is and what she brings to the center. And it was just lovely. And here I got a screenshot of my funny closed captions, because she, of course, was remembering those of us who are parents to pets and not people. So she said cat mothers are dog mothers, but of course my closed captioning says dogma mothers, because apparently it knows I like to do thoughts on talks. So let me stop the share. So Reverend Nancy, Reverend Mike told me that you just watched back to see what you said. How did you like it?
I think that the point that I was really emphasizing, I got that across, but I was telling him, you really edit yourself when you do that. I mean, I talk with my hands so much. I kept thinking, put your hands down there. I said, put your hands down.
Nah, I don't think so, because it helps convey the message. I mean, I think, what is it, 70% of communication is body language. It isn't just what we're saying. And so, you know, the hand movements, I'm really animated with my hands too. So I really feel like it paints a picture when you use your hands.
Yeah, and my excitement comes out a lot with my hands too.
Mm-hmm. Reverend Mike was watching online as well, like all of us have been all this time, except you two haven't had the chance to watch online from home. You still haven't, have you, Reverend Nancy? You've been there every time since we've gone into team mode. So what was your experience with that, Reverend Mike?
It was really good. I got to watch it on the flat screen too. So a lot of times when I am watching the repeat, you know, during the week, it'll be on the computer at the office, or this, you know, I'm using my laptop right now. So the picture's kind of grainy, but on the flat screen, Reverend Nancy, you looked fabulous.
It comes
Color was
much
great.
clearer, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, with the extra lighting too. So
Yes,
your
that's
color looks great. The print of your outfits juxtaposed against the painting in the behind you, and then the flowers. The flowers are always nice, and I always forget to say thank you, but they were especially nice yesterday for Mother's Day.
mm-hmm.
And it was fun to watch what was going on in the chat, and also to be able to participate in that a little bit. And so it was.
Yeah, that's another thing. Unless you watch back because you're up doing the work, you don't see the chat stream that's happening. And so I do have a screenshot from one point in your talk, Reverend Nancy, that I will share. So
I often wonder what the people are saying.
So at 11:03 a.m., Nikki Robbins, who's almost Reverend Nikki Robbins, she's getting closer and closer every day.
Yeah, it's waiting for the answers.
You know, wished Happy Mother's Day and included our pets. And then you had said embracing the inner teacher. And you were talking about, you know, listening to your heart and using that as the inner teacher that guides us through all our decisions. And you can see Michael McMorrow put a couple of hearts. And Vinu said good morning. And then Kitty said nothing more powerful than our inner teacher. And then you were talking about autobiography of a yogi and Yogananda's mother. And so I said, yay for Yogananda's mama. So it's not all people saying hi and chit-chatting back and forth. We're actually sharing the experience of listening and taking in what you're saying from up there. So it kind of adds something that we don't get when we're sitting and trying to behave nicely in our seats.
Yeah, well, I guess you're more relaxed because obviously you're greeting each other as well as
yeah,
enjoying the talk.
Yeah, so it adds a different dimension.
I know that when I'm up there talking, my mind is so focused on the point.
Right.
I don't be thinking about anything else. I have to remind myself to look at the camera extra.
It's hard to know. Reverend Mike and I have talked about this before, because the cameras are not normal studio cameras with little lights that say, this is the camera we're using, this is the camera. There are two cameras to choose from, and you have no way of knowing which one they're using at any moment. So it's, you know, and you didn't really have an audience to look at. So at one point I thought you were probably angling toward Ken and Jason, our musicians, Ken Francis and Jason Goldstein.
I did see myself doing that.
Yeah,
I'm talking to the people that are there rather than to the camera.
Right.
Yes,
but I think you caught yourself because you shifted your angle. So at least subconsciously that was going on.
Yes, and then it was.
And music too, for Mother's Day, I thought was really lovely. Feed the Birds from the Mary Poppins movie.
Wasn't that beautiful?
It's a beautiful song, and I was especially touched because I was watching it with my mom here at home, and she loves birds. So we were watching it with our 3 birds in the living room. And yeah, it was beautifully done, and it was a song about nurturing. So perfect.
I found it amazing for all that to come together in that way.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yes.
To not be planned, but to fall in place. The music, the topic, Kathy's message, and the whole thing for Mother's Day.
It is the perfect example of a group of people who are all listening to their inner guidance. And it is orchestrated by a force that is bigger than all of us and that we are all connected to. So I found so often when I've been part of Sunday services or other kinds of similar events, that happens, that everything seems to fit with the message, even though it hadn't been specifically coordinated that way.
You know, the thing that I hit on with that one particular song, because I was a little kid when that came out, Mary Poppins came out,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, being Mother's Day, and I don't know if you ever did this, Reverend Nancy, but about, I don't know, not very often, maybe 2 or 3 times a year, we'd all pile into the station wagon with snacks and go to the drive-in. And that's where I saw Mary Poppins.
Wow, and drive-ins are having a revival now.
Yes, yeah. That's where I saw it too, was at the drive-in. And yes, we used to have it so that we would back up with a truck. And so that all our friends could, yeah, so all our friends could be with us.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's where I saw it too.
Wow.
Yeah.
I remember it from childhood, but I was probably watching it like in my house by that point. I don't think I ever saw it in the theater, because it used to be that Disney movies were only released every 7 years or something. So I might have seen it in the theater and I just don't remember.
You would have been really small.
Yes.
Probably. Well, every 7 years it would have come around eventually.
Yeah.
But now we can see it on, you know, DVD or the Disney Channel or something when it comes around.
Right.
Hasn't it been remade about 3 times?
At least once. There's a recent version with Emily Blunt as Mary Poppins, and it revisits, the kids are grown up now and and need some help, and so Mary flies in on her umbrella with the parrot head. And Lin-Manuel Miranda, who wrote and performed in Hamilton, plays the part that Dick Van Dyke, or like his equivalent. It's not the exact same.
Is he a chimney sweep?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
I've only seen the new one once, and it was sweet, but it's hard to match the original in emotional impact.
I just realized I think part of it too is, you know, my mom is English, so watching it, because I think we actually had tuppence around that, which is a two pence coin that they used to have, and so I think that was also the connection for me as well.
So does your mom have a British accent?
I don't know, Nancy. I don't hear it anymore. Do you?
No, not at all.
She has it in some expressions. You know, my dad, his brogue had gotten really soft.
Okay.
But my aunt, my mom's sister, very, very solid London accent. Of course, I think she's probably cultivated it over the years. But my Uncle Jimmy, my dad's brother, he's got that hard, Northwest brogue that if you don't have an ear for it, you can't understand him sometimes, particularly if he's had a few.
Yeah, it's interesting. Some people can and do. Some people take the time even to lose an accent when they've moved to a new country. Some people make the effort to pick up the accent of a new country. When I lived in Sri Lanka, I couldn't pick up the accent. And so I just talked like I do now. And, there are certain phrases I picked up that I tried to say like them, but they didn't think I sounded like them. So.
Well, I have a Southern accent, so it does come out quite, especially if I get excited. Southern accent is very strong at that point.
And it's wonderful because it gives just a little extra flavor of, background and all of that. So both you and Reverend Kathy were talking about the experience as we go through this quarantine and turning within, at least I interpreted it that way, that we're all kind of in this unknown, and we don't know where the world is going, where society is going. And so you were saying that we've all been imprinted by whatever society we've been raised in. And now we don't know where society's going. So that inner compass and inner guide is even more important. What else are we going to do? And that was my interpretation. I don't know if that's what you were trying to say.
Totally what I was talking about. I mean, we end this teaching, and most teachings emphasize learning how to listen to your own heart, and learning how to follow that as a guide. They come at it in different ways, and even psychology in a lot of ways emphasizes that. But I think that being alone in the house is a good time to just practice it. Most of my friends are talking about cleaning their houses and doing things that they wanted to do. And I was thinking, this is a time to listen to your inner teacher and just see if you can practice it. And I think that so much is coming from different people's viewpoints.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's significant to be able to feel comfortable with your own knowledge.
Yes, and it's so habitual in us, our thought patterns, as we discuss all the time in the New Thought movement, that when we're used to fitting into all these boxes of society of you get up and you get ready and you go to work and you do this, and it's being productive and making things happen, and when that has been taken away, and I've struggled with, I forget that I have a choice of how I do things now, because there isn't a daily time deadline to get certain things done, or a weekly deadline. It's more free flow. And so I started off not really leaving time for myself to rest or to, go hang out in the garden as much as I would want to, or to exercise, because I thought, okay, I have to get this and this and this and this done by this time. And then I realized, wait a minute, this is the perfect time to take a breath and let go of some of those expectations that I'm just carrying on in my head. No one is expecting that of me.
Oh, that is a perfect description, because I was just thinking about, often Reverend Mike is in his garden when he's sharing his midday, and I was thinking, he probably never hardly visits that garden when when the world is active. But it's a lot of things that we don't even realize that we are doing because of the imprint of society. But this thing has separated us enough from it so we can see how much of the things is from our ideas and from what we want to do and from what we should think society wants us to do. And so.
Yeah. Well, and it's a chance to remake society in a way that is more heart-centered and, life-centered for us, rather than giving all of our energy to this imposed vision of productivity and making money and, being a superpower in selling things. It's like, really, when you know that the world can be stopped and businesses can be shut down in favor of life, then anything's possible. We can make any changes.
Right.
They're just we have to decide it and find people who want to make the same changes.
Yes. That's exactly it. So that's why I felt like this is really a beautiful time. And I love the way Kathy said you take these nuggets of truth and apply them to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a chance to do it without outside influence. We can apply it to ourselves and not have it come from how this person's going to see me do it or how another person, but just what does my heart say?
And I think that it takes a certain amount of effort to even give yourself the freedom to do that. Because I think so many people are waiting for whatever authority they've put in an outside entity right. to tell them what is going to happen next. I've had an interesting interaction with somebody I'm building a website for. And I was approaching it because she just really needed help getting a new business up and running during this time. And she didn't have a lot of capital to build it. And so I was approaching it from the perspective of, okay, let's try this. It'll be an experiment. I'll, look for the least expensive way to do it. And I'll, I was experiencing it as a back and forth and a partnership. And I found out later, wasn't. She got very upset with me. And I was like, wait a minute, what are you talking about? She saw it completely differently. She saw it as me, as the authority who should have been treating her differently or behaving differently somehow. And it's taken me a while to see that her understanding and the way she's framing the situation, I don't think she's ever had a situation where somebody has treated her as an equal in a business interaction. I don't know. I just can only guess because she doesn't seem to understand when I explain it to her, and I've tried several times. So all I can do is go with what makes her feel comfortable to the best of my ability. But it's these ingrained structures that we carry in our minds that the New Thought movement is working with. And as you said, at some point, it's not to resist the societal imprint, but to shift within ourselves.
Right.
And all of us together lift society to this new.
It's like the current thing has carried us to this point. Mm-hmm. And now that we know a different way, we can step into it gradually without judging and knocking ourselves for how we are still following it, but gradually developing and see what has happened as a gift for us to be able to take time to see what our own thoughts are about certain things and how we would want to create things. Yeah. I'm hoping that that comes out as a nugget that we embrace as a society. When we come out and go back into society, people will begin to understand that they have their own heartfelt ideas and be willing to step into them.
One of the things that has really struck me about this time period is when I look at the news and look at the levels of government that are making decisions, I might start to get upset about it. And then I think, really, I'm safe in my home. I'm very comfortable. It is possible for me to live my own little bubble of life of gratitude and love. And I'm here with my family and my pets and my garden and my, everything that's really important to me. And the things that are happening up there, I do want to participate in, I do vote, but it's not a direct influence. The president is not in my house making decisions about my daily life, thank goodness, because I would disagree with him a lot. But it shows me that I can make decisions about my life and how I want to live it and connect with communities that are making similar decisions. And we can make choices that help us create the life we want without really even connecting for a while with that outside authority. At some point, there will have to be some negotiation, I'm sure, depending on, what we're creating.
That's such an important point. I think that is coming out of this, that we are being shown that it is up to us to make some kind of decisions in life, and that society itself is the ones that that will really make a shift in how things are being done. Not just the government. I mean, the government is it's almost like we have turned our lives, how we're going to live our lives in a lot of ways over to that.
Yeah.
And now learning that we have power is wonderful.
Are you raising your hand, Reverend Mike?
I am. I've been contemplating how many people are living an almost monastic kind of life right now, particularly if they don't have other people in the home. And it's very much like the Vipassana Center up in North Fork. You can actually move into, of course, you go to great lengths on these Vipassana meditations to strip away all of the distractions. So they practice noble silence, which is no writing, no reading, no acknowledging other people who are there. When you take your meals, you face the wall.
Wow.
That sounds hard.
So
you get that.
It's the hardest thing I've ever done, but what I'm getting at is all the distractions are taken away. And so, I've talked to a couple people who have been, like some are trying to get sober, right? Some are, working through a breakup, right? And so now here they are, the usual coping of, go to the gym, go shopping, go here, go there. All those are taken away. And so now they're like, right here, this is reality. This is what I'm feeling. This sucks. and having to deal with it, straight up, with no distractions. I mean, this, to me, it sounds like, miracle grow, monastic miracle grow. Right?
And when I look back at like historical shows and see, like there's one show now that takes place in America just before the American Revolution. And it's, tons of land and people gathering together to help each other in society or to create a society. And so when we look back at those times, we see the important things about helping neighbors and local, like, farmers markets and all of those things to sort of pull our energy back and reinvest in what's near us. And while also knowing that globally, this is happening to everybody around the world. So we're not alone.
About Turn by any chance?
No, I'm talking about Outlander.
Oh, Outlander, yes.
Yeah, and it's a big difference though today.
Scottish version.
Yeah.
Well, now they're in America. They're in North Carolina, actually.
Oh, okay.
This part in the series.
Oh, I'm from North Carolina.
That's what I was thinking. See how it ties us all together.
Yes.
He's good at that.
Amazing.
Yeah, so even like in small towns, another series I've been watching is The Good Witch, which is on Hallmark Channel. And it's a small town that's supposed to be in the middle of America. And the Good Witch is just a woman who really has faith and listens to her heart and follows her inspiration. And they don't say, like, they hint at magic, but they don't show her doing any typical, what you would think of witch or magic. But the magic happens because she follows her intuition and listens to her heart. And she doesn't know how things are going to turn out, but she has a feeling that, oh, maybe give this to this person. And then later you see how it unfolds to be perfect, that they had that thing when they needed it. So it's a very sweet show, but you see how one of the things that really I see in this show is they're in a small town, so the people that they have to work things out with are the people that are there. Like, they can't ignore them necessarily and go work with somebody else because it wouldn't work the same way. So they have to sort of work with who they think is their enemy, somebody that they're disagreeing with, and find a way through because they're all in this together. And just over and over again, I see that happening. And so for people who aren't alone in their houses, this is something that's coming up. Like, okay, we're in this together. We got to figure out something that'll work for all of us to get us through this time.
I think that point is what this whole experience has been tapping us on the shoulder, that it is important that we do work together. And I think that small family is just that small group concept.
Yeah,
is a good example of it. But this is, and it's broad in the sense that it's the whole world. It's not just one country, one society, one group.
right.
All of us are trying to work together. So it's in some ways it's individual people experiencing what's at home.
Mm-hmm.
But the overall picture is how we all going to work together and how we're going to cooperate with each other.
Yeah.
I think it's, isn't it interesting how that small concept is reflected in the larger concept? But I think that we can learn from both aspects of it.
Yeah, the microcosm and the macrocosm.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I think that the thing that came to me was that I'm privileged. I'm in this home by myself. I love being in my home by myself.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I also know that a lot of my family they aren't experiencing that. I mean, my nieces and nephews have children, so they're experiencing these homes with these children. So they are learning to be creative, and they're learning that they have to do classwork, and they're learning. So, and it sounds like most of them are being creative in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But, so they can't all do what I have done and spend a lot of time.
Right. It'll be very interesting to see when we look back on this later, to see how this experience has shaped people and shaped families and shaped individuals. I saw a really sad video on social media about a father who wanted to warn people about the emotional effects this is having on young children, and that adults have coping mechanisms that we can turn to and have a maturity that allows us to kind of face this difficulty. But children don't have those, and we forget that they don't have those. So in this particular video, he was talking about a 12-year-old boy who got so upset that he broke his, he threw a tantrum while playing a video game and broke the monitor. And that was like his window to play with his friends on, on games and connect with the world. And so his father said, well, let's save up some money, do some chores, we'll get you another monitor. And the kid lost his temper and threw his controller and broke the new monitor. And he was so upset, the poor kid, he took his own life. I haven't looked into the background or the veracity of this particular story, but it was a video of a father crying and telling how he felt that COVID was the reason his son was no longer with us. But it's not because he caught the disease. It's not the way we think. It's because emotionally, even though he's in the house with his family, he felt so disconnected from the things that he was used to, of seeing friends at school and getting guidance from other adults from a community, that he didn't have the emotional ability to deal with something that he saw was his only connection to the world, and probably didn't even understand what he was really doing, that it was going to end his life and there's no do-overs, So this guy wants to let people know we need to really watch for our children, even though they're in the homes with their parents. We don't know how they're processing this information. And since we're all so busy as grown-ups trying to manage it all and figure it all out, we may not see how the young people are dealing with it with much fewer tools at the ready, you know. There's also a big issue that we can hold in our prayers, that a lot of people don't feel safe in their homes. You know, I've seen a lot about domestic violence, where if somebody says go home and stay locked in the house, and your life has taken you to a place where you're living with someone you're not safe with, that traps you too. So there's so many, just like the whole spectrum of experience from this.
Right.
Of those of us.
Well, just speaking to that, did you see that there was a report in Greenland that they had shut down the liquor stores for that very reason?
Wow, no, I didn't see that.
And it was one of the first things when they started to kind of reopen.
Wow.
It was the liquor stores that they reopened. But the concern was for domestic violence, because of course it goes up. You know,
with the alcohol there.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
I mean, in my kind of overview of it, the high watch of seeing all of this, to that hopefully this will shift everybody's perspective if they're in a house that they don't feel safe in, to, as soon as they have the chance, to make a choice for themselves that they're not going to live anywhere that they don't feel safe. What, you know, to find someplace else. For people to be aware of their children's emotions, and for us as communities to just keep an eye out for everybody. I mean, it's all, we're swimming through the unknown here.
I agree with you. After working so many years with teenagers, I can imagine at that age bracket would probably have much more of a challenge being endured than most of the older teens or the adults.
Yeah.
So it would be something. I have about 8 or 9 of them in that age bracket, but very fortunately they have parents who are spending their energy on figuring out how to work with their children.
Not everybody has that.
Yeah, how to work with their children rather than just leave that. I don't know if the answer is available to any of us about that. I'm sure that there are a lot of things that are going to go on that could be very damaging to some of the younger children. But I think that that's one of the reasons why I felt like touching the adults. If the adults can handle themselves, then they can help the children. I think that that's so. I had one of the people that I got a call from my niece that she lost her mother, and she said it was the best thing she could have done was sit down and listen to me on Sunday. She said because she was falling apart because this was her first day without her mother. She said, I sit there and I listened. She said, I played it the second time just so that I could hold on to that idea of being near someone. So a lot of things, a lot of people were going through, and that's why I said that idea of mother really varies. I mean, there are a lot of people that the mother idea is very stifling.
And very loaded.
Yes. Whereas
that's where it was so great that you said Mother Earth is there for us.
That was exactly why God said that's where the mother is the mother for everybody. And she really supports. And I think that Mother Earth, I feel like Mother Earth is blessed from this. I know that.
Yeah.
It may not seem, but I think Mother Earth has been given an opportunity to recover in a lot of ways, a lot of things. And
Yeah.
when I look out at the trees in my yard and stuff, everything, they look so green and vibrant.
Yeah. I've heard that people are seeing birds that they've never seen before in their yards, and I think it's because those birds have been hiding somewhere to be away from people, and their numbers are growing, so that they're spreading out to find more food. And people driving around all the time, or gardening or spraying things, has stopped. So life has a chance to flourish again.
Yes, yes. And I think that one of the things that I found for myself is when I wanted to emphasize looking towards things the way we want them to be. Because when we start looking at trying to correct something that has already happened, a pattern that has already developed, we a lot of times just spinning our wheels. But if we look towards where we want things to be, there's a lot to get that can be brought in. If we can tap into that creative thinking, that there's a lot of it that is very nurturing. One of the things I had this video on Facebook where this father is a musician, and he teaches the children a song. And in the evening, him and the children play. I think the oldest one looked like he's about 8 or 9. And this little 5-year-old girl, 6-year-old girl gets in front and she dances while dad and the brother is playing their instruments and singing. And so his job in the morning is that they learn the songs and the kids look like they are having a ball. And I was saying that's creativity. Yeah. Those kind of things are really very beautiful to see.
Yeah, absolutely. I also liked that you had mentioned about how life works for us rather than interpreting things happening to us. Things are happening for us and later through us as well. But I remembered reading about it's the opposite of paranoia, that everything's working against you, is PROnoia, that everything's working for you. And so when we start looking for evidence of that,
you find it. What you focus on, wherever your focuses go, that's what you end up building. And if you're looking for what is for you, you're bound to find something that's going to lift you up.
Yeah, and I've been even looking back to the last few years of my life, which, the time period I'm looking at was a very difficult time for me 2 years ago. And I can now see it's taken this time. I had to have faith that that was for good. I just didn't know how or why exactly. And now I could see it was setting me up to be in the place I am now, in a comfortable, joyous place with a new spiritual community that is close by to my home, that I have people I can call on if I need anything, but also just the kind of spiritual support that is more suited to me than where I had been. So the timing of it is perfect because that was in place when we went into lockdown. So
that's wonderful. That's wonderful. And I think that one of the reasons why I find myself dedicated to our community center is that I want a place that it provided me with that. And I want it to be something that other people can utilize in the same way, to have a community that is supportive, that you can turn to, that when you experience it, it is inspirational. And also it teaches you and gives you tools to help you deal better with who you are. And it's always reminding you that you are a gift.
Yeah.
And that is just, the price on that is, to me, that's priceless, to have that experience and that awareness constantly available to you.
Yes. So we are very fortunate to have our community, and we're sharing it with the world by putting it out on video.
Yeah.
And even when Zoom bombers have visited, we bless them and send them on their way.
Well, and there's a lot of my CSL colleagues are checking us out and commenting and sending me little notes here and there. That's nice.
Wow, that's cool.
So they're acknowledging that we're stretching.
Yeah.
And being bold, going out and doing this online stuff.
That's great.
Because it takes a while to do it without being all self-conscious, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And Malayna, you have such a gift of guiding people that I have to say thank you. You're very good at this. Very good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, I'm glad we got to, all three of us, have this chat and encourage people to join us in whatever way that we are sharing the message. And they know they can go back to the YouTube channel, see all the Sunday talks for, like, I don't know, a long time back. They can watch the rest of Thoughts on Talks. This is episode 21, I think.
It's getting up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank Gary Gideons for, building this YouTube channel so that we can have these things.
Yeah.
Also, I haven't put in a plug. So if you happen to be watching this video still, and you're looking for prayer support, we do have people who are called prayer practitioners who have had training in how to work with people and how to lift them in a psychologically spiritual way, so that if you need a lift and you're feeling isolated at home and you want to be able to do something anonymously, maybe with someone you don't even know or someone you do know, you can go on our website and find all kinds of folks, or you can reach out to Reverend Nancy through on our website. Her email, her contact info is on the website, as well as all of our practitioners and myself as well. And even Malayna probably has do you have a website, Flourish? They can find you through Flourish.
Yeah, which is flourish.net.
So if you're struggling in some way, and particularly now that you're stuck at home and you have to listen to your heart, and you're ready for an upgrade or just to download some of the stuff. So you don't have to do it alone. And that's what spiritual community is about. That's what spiritual living is about. Whether we're doing it face to face, in person, or through online communities. So
yes, we are celebrating that.
Yeah.
So, and really listening to our hearts, that takes us into our center where we connect with spirit, where we connect with emotion. We connect best with each other when we connect through our hearts. So it really is like the place to begin for moving forward in this new world and in this very interesting present moment we find ourselves in. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I enjoyed it. I usually get a kick out of y'all's back and forth conversation. I'll do it. I'll be laughing sometimes because I'm saying, okay, the topic they left about 15 minutes ago, but then I enjoy what y'all saying.
What is that?
Who is that?
Roxette, listen to your heart. I have no idea where the microphone is on this thing.
Yeah, I couldn't hear it. I could just see it, but
tell me when it's louder. Give me a thumbs up.
I can hear it now. There it is. There's the chorus. Kinda.
So 90s.
Very.
Or is that 80s?
Oh, who is that?
It's Roxette.
Roxette.
Oh, wow.
Listen to your heart.
Oh, that's right.
I think the next line is before you tell him goodbye.
Well, that's a good place to sign off, I guess.
Oh, see, it does all connect.
Yeah.
All right, so
Thank you.
Yeah, go check out Reverend Nancy's talk. It's a good one, along with Kathy Lyons, and you'll see me next week. So,
hooray.
if you can't sleep, just put on one of my old YouTube vids. All right.
Don't be silly.
Thanks so much.
Bye.
Thank you, Malayna. Thank you, Rev.
All right.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
So you're going to stop recording, right, Rev?
Oh, yes, that's right.
So does that mean I can